Corner. Christ is risen. Today we've got a friend of mine, Seraphim, who is the founder of the Saba Society. So Sava Society, same thing, which is a student organization. And so we're going to talk to him, get to know him, he's going to tell us how it got started and what they're doing, and how maybe you too, if you're so inclined, can start a student organization. What steps would you take if you want to start a student organization and do something with all of your energy? You love Orthodoxy, you've just joined, and you want to do something. Maybe you can start a student organization. So before we get to that conversation, I'd like to remind everybody to like and subscribe and all of that. Go to ByzantineBeard.com for all your beard care needs. And I also need to order or go over a correction. I had my most recent stream was talking about the glorification of Saint Seraphim Rose, which is a process that is ongoing. And there was an interview published on this website, Orthodox Europe. And the interview was with Vladika Irene, who is a member of the Council of Bishops, the Synod of Bishops of Rokor, and they asked him, did the recent Council of Bishops canonize Hieromonk Seraphim Rose? No, it did not, he answers. So pretty straightforward. He goes on to say that we acknowledge that his glorification is on the horizon of our ecclesial life, and we are actively working towards it. So nothing has really changed, except this is kind of an affirmation. This is we're going in the right direction, and he's basically saying it's coming. So sorry for any misinformation or any confusion with that. With that, we'll add Seraphim.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Good. So why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, how's it going? I'm Seraphim, or Mason, if you know me in person. I'm on X as PNW_Seraphim. And most importantly, I mean, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and an Orthodox Christian. And as well as a student, I guess. That's the whole thing, is I started a student club with some friends. But I mean, yeah, that's it. I mean, I'll let you ask questions, I guess, so we can have a lengthier dialogue than me just going on.
Wow, this is incredible here. I might have to donate some of this money to your organization. We just got a $400 super chat, which I am humbled. From Tim Miller. Thank you, sir. As always, he says, YP, America's beard is getting thin. Uncle Sam is starting to resemble Dr. Patch Adams. We need to get an American Orthodox Church going. And I agree. And I would like to maybe someday do a whole episode on an American Orthodox Church, which I think is a worthy goal, something that we should be working towards, a unified jurisdiction. All the jurisdictions need to settle their differences and come together. Maybe if I get big enough to get Father Josiah Trinum as a guest, I think my channel is just too small and insignificant for him, but maybe someday we'll get him on and to talk about it. And if not him, we'll find someone else. But the only problem with that I can see with starting an American Orthodox Church is that the acronym is AOC. So that just won't fly. What do you think about that, Seraphim?
Well, first of all, that's an insane super chat. Glory to God. Thank you, Tim. The American Orthodox Church, you know, I'm pretty simple. I enjoy Rokor. Like I've been to an OCA church, I've been to a Greek church, I've been mainly to Rokor. I really love Rokor. I think eventually, if Orthodoxy surpasses, like 10% of the religious populace of America, I think, you could argue for the American Orthodox Church. But I feel like I saw a quote recently from a bishop saying we need more like American born clergy and monastics. It can't just orthodoxy can't be carried on the backs of immigrants here. We
Right.
need to have that unique American vibe to it.
Well,
I am a big fan of Appalachian Orthodox chants, though. Those are great.
I actually do like those. But yeah, so you're referencing what Metropolitan Saba said, and I just saw the clip from the Ortho chat, and he was saying we need monks, nuns, and spiritual fathers. And so that means we need to just, people need to be, if this is something we want to work for, people need to become holy. We need people to, which is a process. And that process involves, it involves getting baptized, reading spiritual books, saying your Jesus prayer, saying your morning and evening prayers, going to church, taking the sacraments, living the life of the church, those kind of things. So I don't think we have anybody can really argue against that, can they?
Makes total sense to me.
Yeah. Another super chat. Thank you, sir. We have from Jack.
Just Jack. That's our VP.
He said, what's that?
Jack's the vice president of our club.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah. I'm glad he's joining us. He says, we love you, Seraphim. Thank you for all of your sacrifice and effort to make our club successful. Thank you, Daniel, for hosting this interview as well. Yes, no problem. It cost me nothing. And also, I'm glad you guys are doing this. We're already seeing fruit. I mean, I had this interview kind of planned. We've been talking about it for a while, but we just had a guy show up just this week, and he said, yeah, I got roped in by the Saba Society. And I was like, all right, time to have him on. But let's start with you. Go back. We need to get to know you a little more. Did you?
Yeah.
You said tell us your background. Where are you from? A little bit about maybe your military background and what are you studying and all that. A little more in depth.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I did 4 years just as a communicator with an artillery unit, so didn't really do much besides go to field ops in California. But 1 second, close out my browser there. So growing up, I've always believed in God. I guess I'll give you my quick testimony. I've always believed in a God growing up. But I kind of bounced between different spiritualities. I had a very, very free household in terms of what you wanted to believe in, as long as it wasn't Satanism, right? So around high school, I had a Christian friend, and I became a self-professed Christian, but I never went to a church. I never enjoyed going to my friends' churches growing up. I've been to Baptist churches, Calvary chapels. In the Boy Scouts, I probably went to a PC USA service or whatever, and every church just kind of felt weird. And so I was very much that sola scriptura, sola fide, just pray and maybe read a little bit of the Bible, although I never even read a full gospel of the New Testament. So that just shows how strong I was in my faith then. And I went to the Marine Corps. And maybe my first year in the Marine Corps, I started wanting to get spiritual again. And I also wanted something that felt kind of ancient, and also something that justified, my lifestyle at the time, which was, in the Marines, it's violent, and debaucherous, quite frankly. Before being Orthodox, I was just a debaucherous young Marine. That's kind of how they all are. And so I thought neo-paganism would be cool because, my Western European heritage, I like the mythology, all this cool stuff, Thor's cool. And so I just found myself doing that, believing in that. And I believed in it, more than some pagans. Some pagans are just atheists that like the stories. I actually believe in I believed in something divine and stuff. And so I was like, all right, I'm a pagan. That's my thing. And I just did that for, the rest of my enlistment. I got out, and maybe about a year and a half after getting out, I wanted to kind of get in touch with my faith, with paganism. And so I started looking into like, the online sphere of pagan influencers, and I wanted to maybe find more pagans to talk to. And the horrible thing about paganism is that there's no like normal pagan. They're either like a white supremacist or an insane leftist, and so you have both sides just like of the extremes. And I didn't find myself in either camp really. But I found this YouTube channel, and he was like a young guy, like college graduate, and he was just his videos were like video essays on maybe like Platonist philosophy or whatever, or just like Hellenistic stuff, and I thought it was interesting. But that linked me to a harmony video called The Mystery of the Eastern Orthodox Church. And I remember watching it for like 10, 15 minutes, like not even the full amount. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. I didn't realize this form of Christianity existed. If you were to become a Christian, you should become Orthodox. But I'm not going to be a Christian. And so I've like moved. Then I just like kept going. Like I just completely put on the back burner. And then a while later, like maybe 6 months later, my friend is talking to me one night. We're just catching up, and he's a Christian, and he starts out of curiosity asking me about my worldview. Like creation, like where things come from, stuff like that. And it was weird. Like at that moment, my mind kind of blanked in a way where, yeah, I for the first time realized that none of this made sense. Like being a pagan didn't make sense. I was very much in the moment, and then at that second I was able to take a step back and like see things clearer, and then my entire worldview just shattered. And it was like, it wasn't like a crisis per se. It was almost like I wanted that to happen. I was having issues with paganism for a little while leading up to that. And he just said like, consider like God, like just like pray to God, or think about it. And that night, it was Sunday at that point, Sunday at like midnight, the Sunday morning at midnight. And I started looking into Orthodoxy because that's what I remembered in the back of my head. And just spent like an hour or two watching videos and reading stuff. I found this transcript between like a Russian priest and this guy who's a Russian pagan, and then came back to Orthodoxy. And it just kind of lined up with like my feelings. And I thought that was a good sign. And I saw that there's 2 Orthodox churches in Corvallis, and I just showed up to our church that morning. I just woke up in time, despite going to bed super late. I woke up in time to get to liturgy. It took my wife by surprise because she wasn't religious either, and I said, "Hey, let's just go to church." When I was walking up there, an old friend from high school, he was there, and so I thought that was very interesting because I knew he wasn't Orthodox before. So he had converted the year prior to me showing up. And this was at the start of Lent, like, or it is March of last year. So that first day, I realized like, this is it. This is like that feeling of like, this is total truth. And just went to church, got baptized, married. I was a student. I still am a student going to Oregon State, and, kind of feeling like there wasn't a community there. And that's what led me and my friends to starting our club is, we didn't have a place for us. We just kind of bounce around the different Christian groups, but it wasn't the same.
Didn't you have, I'm remembering from a previous conversation that you had an idol?
Yeah. So absolutely. Being a pagan means it's complete idolatry, right? It's you're not venerating icons, it is very much idol worship. I never really had like any cool looking statues or anything. I never really had anything like that, but I had a, designated altar, and I'd give offerings. And the way in which you worship in paganism, I now know, is like how you would go into a contract with the demon, because that's what paganism is. When you worship these gods, they're actually just demons, and they're deceiving. So you give them something, in return you get something, and it's just like this give and take relationship. And
wow,
yeah, what led me actually, like, what maybe take the leap into paganism was I had a dream that, like, this dream like confirmed it for me. And then you read the saints now, and they're like, be wary of dreams. And so in hindsight, it made total sense that I was completely deceived.
So you had was it your god? You had an idol that was your god in your altar, or how did that work?
Yeah, so I had like the way that I did it was through I had runes, and runes, each rune kind of represents like a god, because I didn't have like statues or anything. Those runes kind of were my idols. Depending on the season, I'd have a series of runes that represented the gods, and like through those I'd pray to the runes. You know, like I
Um,
wasn't not in the way that you pray in front of an icon to
right.
God or asking for. I prayed to the runes. Like this was my rotation. These are the
Mm.
guys I was talking to that week. I had
I
like
guess-
my top three gods that I'd pray to and ask to help me and stuff. But kind of glad to be out of that now, especially seeing how they act on like Twitter. It's so cringe.
yeah, it just sounds like madness to me, actually. Like mental illness, really. Which I have plenty of experience with. It sounds like mental illness to me. That kind of life, that kind of way of thinking. We have
Yeah.
another friend at church who I'm not going to name. He was at a point when he was in his kind of, I guess, creative spirituality phase. He was doing a lot of drugs, and he had a spider plant that he was his god. He worshipped a spider plant.
Yeah, that's paganism is like it neo paganism today, the new age stuff. I mean, you get a lot of it from like you know Kabbalah and or Aleister Crowley. Like a lot of it's from those sources, but it really is just kind of like do whatever you want, make it up. You're not right or wrong. Like you don't have to know all the holidays. You don't have to know all the mythology. You just do what you want. Like that's kind of the accepted view of it. Some people have their own completely relative restrictions, but like the global pagan sphere is just like do what you want. There's no restrictions except for like you can't do. The only restrictions were like you can't uh do like Shintoism if you weren't Japanese, or you couldn't practice like Native American stuff if you weren't Native American. And the
Um,
argument was, well, because those are unbroken traditions, so therefore they can be like ethnically exclusive, but any other form of paganism, you can't be ethnically exclusive, which I was like, whatever, it's completely relative. If I wanted to go practice Shintoism or worship the turtle god that made us, like no one's stopping me,
right.
and that's just a logical conclusion of it.
Yeah, I had a. We're okay. We're going to move on here, but I did have a creative phase myself before I found orthodoxy. At one point, I wanted to just start my own religion, I think, but we don't need to go into that right now. So tell us where you got the idea, the origin. Where did the idea for the Saint Sava Society come from?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not going to take all the credit at all. It very much was a group effort, um, of the three core officers, me, Jack, and my friend Ezra. Like the three of us were the main group, and then we had outside friends who they put in time and effort into like brainstorming and just kind of like helping us out and stuff. And so we have a core group of founders. Um, I think the reason why I'm president is because I just kind of have like a background of leadership from being in the military. And I'm the most responsible because I have a wife and kid, but I can't really take any credit for it myself. The background is the group of us, at the time, all pretty much inquiring or catechumens. We're zealous for orthodoxy. We want more of an orthodox presence on campus. We'd go to the Catholic tables and we'd talk with them, or we'd get into like some little debates, or we'd go to their house and just hang out with them and stuff. But you know every time we went to like the Catholic house, and they just tell us, oh well, why don't you just become Catholic? We didn't want to go there for that discussion, and then you have to like explain why, and then it kind of hurts their feelings. So
Hmm.
it was kind of uncomfortable. We'd rather have a group in which we can defend ourselves, I guess. We can go out, we can go on campus, we can say, hey, like we're Orthodox, this is the church, this are our beliefs, and if someone wants to debate it in good faith, we're here to do that. We're here to guide people into orthodoxy. Like the one gentleman that came to church, he if it's the guy who I'm thinking of, he was discerning between Roman Catholicism and Orthodoxy, and he's very much still on that journey. And I hope he keeps coming to church because, from what I heard, he really enjoyed, a Vesper service. But
We have
yeah,
another super chat from Tim Miller. Thank you. Too kind. And he says Orthodoxy is a vital part of Judeo Christianity, which this is actually a term we do not. It's kind of, we don't prefer this term, but I understand. I understand what you're saying. Orthodoxy is a vital part of Judeo Christianity. I hope America builds a cathedral as nice as Saint Sava's in Belgrade. Beautiful flag too. That's
I
like,
hope so.
what's that?
I hope so. That'd be amazing.
Isn't that like the largest church in the world?
I think that's in Romania, but
that's in Romania.
yeah,
Saint Sava's the new one though, like, or which is it? Do you know the difference between these two? I know I was just in Tbilisi, Georgia, and they have I think the third largest cathedral in the world there. I went in there and it was awe-inspiring, like in a way that no other, I've been in like these old cathedrals in Europe that were Catholic, and like they're so big. They had these big stones that were ancient, it was 1,000 years old, and you could have played a football game in there, and it was inspiring, but it didn't have there was no holiness necessarily, because like holiness kind of vacated the Catholic Church,
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of was missing something. So the Orthodox cathedrals are really something to see.
I really need to visit more of them. I think the largest church I've been to is St. George's in Eugene. And that's just like that's considered a small Greek church. So, yeah.
Tim also says he's going to visit a church like I remembered, like it's like you recommended. Its beauty is unmatched to me so far. Yes, the beauty.
Oh man, yeah. You gotta go. You gotta go see a liturgy.
Sure.
Nothing like it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's only a couple hours out of your week. It can't be too hard. Jack says we are all since baptized. Glory to God.
Yep. All the officers of the club are officially Orthodox. So, that was really cool to watch them get baptized. A day apart from each other too. Really a blessing. But
okay,
I guess back to like why Saint Sava. Is that kind of what you're gonna ask? Okay. Yeah. So we chose Saint Sava. We're like discussing names for a while, and I thought like alliteration would be nice, like something that's catchy and we're like memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like a criteria. And I'm like, I also like the idea of like having society in there because it sounds kind of mysterious, kind of it's in touch with like the mystery of Orthodoxy. And I just looked up patron saint of education in Orthodoxy, and that led me to Saint Sava. And then you read his life, and you're like, oh wow, this is an amazing saint, and Serbs love him. And yeah, it's pretty simple. Like I just
say something about him. Do you like just a brief?
Yeah, so Saint Sava of Serbia, he was the heir to the Serbian crown. Actually, his father was the king, and but he's a very pious man, and he ended up becoming a monastic, and kind of rose up from there, and became the first bishop of Serbia, of the Serbian church, actually. So before, like, there wasn't a Serbian church to my knowledge, and then he actually became the patriarch or so, like the Serbian church, and he established churches, schools, monasteries, all these things, and so he's like the patron saint for everything in Serbia, but specifically education. And I think I also read like there was a saint. There was a society of Saint Sava, and I believe they're like kind of maybe a communist resistance group in Serbia. I might have to look that up again, but I thought that was kind of funny. So maybe we're paying an homage to those guys as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that God definitely guided us to picking that name, and it's been catchy. People are, you're the Saint Sava Society, and yeah, it's been good so far.
Nice. Okay, now I also want to know the process. Like, you can't just say we're a group, but what was the process of making an official campus organization?
Yeah, so we actually expected a lot of pushback, and to the glory of God, it was fairly painless. Um, we're traditional Christians or Orthodox, right? And you're trying to make a club on a modern college campus, so it's we were very very doubtful, especially when you walk into the office of the people who like help you make the club, and there's like pride flags everywhere and stuff. You're like, oh no. But thankfully, I submitted the application. We had to have like four students who were wanting to be in the club, and so we had four total students, three of us officers at the time. And the guy I met with, he was actually like a Christian, like, and not just like not like a really progressive one, like just a normal Christian. And so he's super on board with helping us. And so that was really nice. And he made the process very simple. We just had a meeting. He went through our constitution. He made us change some of the wording because it was like too specific. So he kind of wanted us to be more vague, um, kind of to help us out. So like he surprisingly, like it was a very easy thing to do. College campuses, I don't know about community college, but state universities, it's a very simple process. They actually are like kind of, they encourage people to make clubs. It I'm not sure if they get anything out of it, but they tend to brag like, oh, we have like 1,000 clubs. So really there's no reason to not make a club. If you have a group of guys on campus and you're zealous and you need to put that zeal somewhere, and not just like be on the internet about it, right? If you want to actually go make a difference, talk about orthodoxy or get involved with your community, and you go to college, they like 100% they'll help you out. And you know, I'm not sure they're like fond of orthodoxy, but they want people to make clubs. And so that's kind of my like call to action is for all you guys to do it. I went on like a brotherhood retreat to the monastery, with Daniel actually, and I met this Canadian, and he knew some college students up in BC who wanted to like kind of make a group. They're talking about it, and so there might be a Saint Sava Society up in Canada. Like it's
Oh, same name even. You guys are
yeah.
expanding.
Well, we'll see. It's a slow process. I mean, our club as it is now is, there's not a whole lot going on in the club. We're trying to figure out the growing pains, but I thought it'd be really cool if we just let this group up there use our same image. So like we kind of have like a brand at that point, and it'll be autocephalous. So they have their church, or they have their club, we have our club, and then the leaders of the club can meet online and discuss what's going on.
Yeah,
But
let's make this national, man. Do you have a website?
international. We don't have a website. No, eventually, if we, I don't know where the club's going to be in a few years. It's going to still be around, and hopefully, it gets to the point where like, oh, we need a website, and we need to have like an actual bank account for this club.
Hmm.
Um, like that's kind of our goal. I want this to be something we can like I can pass off to the next generation of Orthodox college students.
All right. And what year are you? Because well, you're going to be moving on eventually. Someone else is going to have to kind of take leadership, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm a sophomore right now.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
time.
I got time. I got a few years. Yeah, but there's already people in the club who like we think would be responsible enough when the time comes to just take it over. And
Yeah.
who knows who's going to be in the club in a couple of years. Um, muted myself for a second, but
Oh,
yeah, exciting things to think about the future. I tend to be a dreamer, so I've been pacing myself on this. I don't want to get,
mm,
I don't want to bite off more than I can chew.
right. You said that you have a constitution. So I guess that's a requirement. And
Mhm.
what is in your constitution?
So yeah, every club, every recognized student club needs to have a constitution. It's just like your laws, what officers can't do, what members can't do, requirements, eligibility, when is voting done, how are meetings conducted. A lot of our constitution is just like from a template that they provide you.
Oh,
A lot of the stuff that you can't be bothered with just writing yourself, like how, like what periods in which elections occur. The election rules I did me and the guys did make ourselves. So we have like a unique way of conducting elections, kind of. But the only specific things are membership eligibility. Like you need to be interested in orthodoxy. You don't have to be orthodox, but you have to be at least interested. There's like language there to where you can't be conducting yourself poorly, right? You got to be representing yourself well,
Right.
kind of
Right.
holding on to like orthodox values.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you don't want people in the club who are gonna, you know, go out and make you guys look bad and give you
Mhm.
a bad name.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to answer Tim's question. He asks, "YP, you're Uncle Penitent now. Are you a real uncle yet? Should I change my name to Uncle Penitent?" I've been thinking about changing my name since I'm not as young as I used to be. I'll think about it, but I am an uncle. Um, so did you? I understand you also had some input from our priest. Was he
Mhm.
involved? To what degree was he involved? Did you ask for a blessing from him for all the? What was his guidance or
Of
involvement
course.
in?
Yeah, I mean, our priest was vital in making the club. The whole thing that we wanted is that, per the rules of the school, right, students have to run the club. However, to keep the club safe, we stipulate that the president must be getting counseled by his or her priest, right? So father was there to look over my constitution. First of all, give us a blessing, but look over the constitution, approve the logo. We've made custom brochures, and he's approved the brochure. Like really anything that we do, um, he's there to bless, of course, and he hosts our meetings at the parish hall, which is amazing. Um, he's absolutely vital in the process, and the only thing that he's not really there for is tabling because he's a very busy man. We would love to have him out tabling one of these days, but I don't think we could do that. He's just too busy, and I don't think I feel like tabling is a young man's game. So,
Oh, right. Yeah, that would be something else to have a priest. Well, maybe he can give it. You guys can put on a talk or something and invite
mhm.
people. Because to have a priest out there in his black robes and his hat and his cross, like that would be quite a stark contrast to anything people have seen. Most
It
people,
would we talk about that a lot. It's like if we just get like a reader out there and a Catholic, I'm not sure if that's probably like not allowed. That's probably wrong to say, but I'm like
well,
it would definitely draw attention, and then they would be able to talk about, oh, like I'm a reader. This is what readers do, and talk about
oh,
that.
I don't know I think the readers get instructions for when they, when to wear
Yeah,
I'm not sure if if that involves like if they're supposed to wear them out in public or not.
I
Uh,
couldn't imagine unless they're doing something that's been blessed, But
right.
yeah, I don't think you're gonna see like a reader at Costco and just Catholic.
Another super chat from Tim Miller. Thank you so much.
Dang, Tim.
$5. Dogs are allergic to grapes. No communion with canines. Well, if they can't have grapes, we could give them the bread. Except, of course, we only give communion to people. We don't give what is holy to dogs. But um, if a dog was a human, we could give them bread. I assume. Um, Okay, so tabling, you mentioned tabling. I want to know what are your activities, and we're going to get to tabling. This is kind of
Yeah.
to me, this is the most interesting, and this is a fruitful, to me, this is your work. This is like your main work, I think, is you're out there, standing out there in the cold, the rain, or whatever, whether it might hot, heat, it's just standing out there. I don't have a good picture. Maybe I could like pull up a picture, but of you guys, I guess the thumbnail for today's um the thumbnail for this show does show where I'll look for a picture, but that's the work, that's the fruitful work where you're out there standing there and you're making yourself available to people, you're talking to people, you're being friendly. And tell us about what you guys do. Well, obviously you do meetings and you have other plans,
Mhm.
and your charitable act. Just so, what are the club activities?
Yeah. So, uh, because we're still working things out, right? We don't, and we're not like, we don't have like the Federal Reserve of funds to go and do crazy fun things. We're still figuring out like what we can do as a fairly small club. And so, when we do meetings now, it's like a potluck. The first 15 minutes we talk about club matters, the important stuff, and then the rest of the night is just get some food. We play board games like Catan, just have fellowship with each other. We're in the process of trying to figure out how we want to do like a guided Bible study. Some
Mhm.
not sola scriptura, but something that's we're appealing to the church fathers there for interpretation, just to help, and that's for like mainly inquirers who maybe are Protestant, to help them out with viewing the Bible from the Orthodox lens. Um, in the future, when I figure out how to properly do this stuff, planning community service events, that's a big one that we all want to do. We just kind of haven't figured out how to facilitate that yet. Um, until we get some more like dedicated members that can help out with like scheduling things. It's just like the three of us trying to figure stuff out, and so we're taking this like one step at a time from what we've been advised to do. But tabling is a big one. That's like it's the easiest to plan and set up, but it is like the most work because you kind of have to be in touch with like the different faiths and you have to know what they believe so that you can like approach things differently,
Well, explain what
right?
tabling is. I'll pull up
Oh
a
yeah.
picture here of you. I just grabbed a picture.
Okay.
But tell us, what is tabling? People probably don't know.
Yeah, so if you ever been on like a college campus, tabling is where you set up a table and you're representing the club. Yeah, there you go. Like you're representing the club and you give out literature. You talk about orthodoxy. And I believe that's from our first time tabling. So it's a little sparse. Now we have like a brochure stand and we have proper brochures and it looks a bit nicer. We have more icons up too, but yeah, it's pretty much it is what it sounds like. You set up a table, you stand behind it, and you talk about orthodoxy to people. And we've had some pretty interesting encounters so far. A lot of fruitful conversations and some slight persecutions from unwell students.
Do you want me to
Uh,
show? Do you want me to show the other picture of this post?
oh yeah, yeah, sure.
So there's another picture attached to this post. There's okay for those who are listening. This is a picture of the table, and in front of it on the sidewalk, someone wrote in chalk "homophobic" and "anti-choice."
Yeah, and if I'm sure people will wonder, like, oh, well, what did you guys say to warrant such a response? Nothing. This girl came up to us, and I've known her. I've seen what she does before to different Christian groups or pro-life groups. She'll just take chalk and then she like starts slandering them. I think she asked, my friend, what's the church's view of abortion, and he just said no innocent life should be harmed, and then she scoffed and did that. And across from us was a very liberal. They don't call themselves Christian. I think they were originally a Christian group, but they're a very liberal, like pro LGBT group. And so I think my theory is she only does this when, you know, people like that are watching so that she can get like kind of those like virtue signaling points. That's my theory. Because the second time she's done this was also for like a very similar circumstance. There was a lot of those people around and she chalked us again.
The second time, huh?
Yeah, the
What
a
did
more
she?
recent time. I
What
don't
did she say that time?
same thing.
Same thing.
It was like anti-women, anti-gay, which is not
Oh,
true. We love women. The Theotokos is the women of all women, right? The highest
right.
of all creatures. And that was the first thing she wrote. And then she came back a while later and wrote like a very long rant about how she's like, take note who's behind the table, all men. That you can pick like the picture incels and like I'm married. And my VP is in a committed relationship and like we're not we weren't even like saying anything to be like incelish, which we're just talking about Christ and the church and stuff. So I don't even know. I don't know what her deal is. I think she thinks we're actually the Saint Sava Church. That's how little she knows about us. She's never actually like talked to us and see what we're about.
Oh,
Um, so because one of our club members was near her and she was like, "Oh, this guy's a part of the Saint Sava Church. They're like homophobic or whatever." And so
okay.
we're,
She must be something else. What color is her hair?
it is brunette, but it's short and she has armpit hair. But
Well, I mean,
God, we pray for her like every time we have an interaction with her, it's like, and she leaves like instantly. Like we're like,
yeah.
remember to pray for her because I don't know. She's had like the first time I've interacted with her after she left, like a counselor came to us and was like, "Was so and so just here? Did she do that?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then they went and like talked to her. So I think she has like people that try to keep her in check. I think she has some kind of like mental illness. God help her, but
Okay.
yeah,
Hmm. Another super chat. Tim Miller throws in $2. Men, remember that women were never crucified.
we're all crucified. You know, we have to crucify ourselves every day.
Did they not crucify men? Was it only for women back in the day? Or was it? I mean,
Other way around. I'm sure women were crucified.
were they?
Yeah, there had to have been. I don't know.
Nuts for Cowboy says you should ask one of the subdeacon to come out when you do tabling. Have you thought about that?
Um, no,
Okay.
I just figured they're super. I figured they're as busy as father is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, I can ask. Yeah, I could ask them. It'd be awesome to have them out.
All right. So what is your schedule? You have what is your guys' schedule for meetings and
Yeah.
yeah, tabling? How often do you do all this?
Um, we're kind of bad at scheduling way in advance. If you want to like be consistent with tabling, you have to schedule way in advance. Otherwise, all the spots kind of fill up. But we try to do it twice a week, and the days in which we do it just vary term to term based on our schedules. We've done Tuesdays and Thursdays. And now we're doing Mondays and Fridays, and Mondays and Fridays have actually been really good so far. So I think we're gonna try to keep doing those. But like I said, it's based on what your classes are. So
Hmm.
meetings, we were doing 2 meetings a month. Although when you do 2 meetings a month, you tend to like they weren't fun. Like we just kind of, okay, here's the meeting, quick update, that's it. And so we had some pretty bad attendance, and so we thought that if we do 1 meeting a month and make it that fellowship night, that's going to be a bigger hit, and it is. So we do
Oh,
it just the 1 meeting a month towards the end of the month, recap everything, and then just kind of have a good time. And so we're trying to get our last meeting scheduled with Father before summer starts, and you know, I want to do like a camping trip maybe to the guys who don't go back home. People who are local here, maybe do like a group camp out, sometime in the early summer. Be kind of fun.
how many people do you guys have? How many members?
I it's I want to say like 15 at this point.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I need to go back to the roster and make sure it's all updated and stuff because we've had people come and go, but I think it's I want to say like maybe 12 very active people, but I think it is over 15 at this point. I think now OSU students alone, it might be like 10, so it might be over 15. But I really just go off of who I see. I'm pretty disorganized with it, but like
Okay.
12 dedicated people, it tends to be what I'm seeing these days.
And your meetings you said are now fellowship meetings. Are those at
Hmm.
the parish hall still or?
Yeah, yeah. We try doing them after a Vesper service
Oh, okay.
or matins, whatever's happening that day. I think it's usually the Vespers, and that way people who are going to the Vespers and not going to the club meeting, they can maybe stick around for the club meeting, or if you're inquiring, go to the Vespers, see what that's all about, and then stay for the club.
Okay.
So it's been pretty good so far.
Or you guys could do like a game night or something like that. Have you ever tried that?
Yeah, so the last one was a game night. We had pizza and board games. Like the evangelical youth groups that people try to bribe me to go into growing up, but it's fun when you're in college. Um, there's talks about doing stuff on campus as well. Um, maybe more informal. That way, people who feel pressured to ask for a ride, like they don't have to do that. They can just show up. Maybe even doing like a reader service on campus. That'd be kind of cool.
Um, I kind of want to offer to do a Supra with you guys. That would be kind of cool. Like but
Yeah.
what do you think about that? The problem
Um.
is that Supra is wine is so integral to Supra, and a lot of you guys aren't 21 yet.
It, you know, it'd have to be an unofficial thing with just the guys who are over 21.
How'd you do it?
If it would be an official club event and you said there's alcohol there, you have to jump through a bunch of you know paperwork, and I think to get insurance.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay, we don't need to do that.
yeah, the fun thing about the club is that the members were the members of the club. They were like going to the parish. They were my friends before like making the club at school. So we can make it something like unofficial.
Okay, I've had a couple of the members. You've been to a Super, and a couple of the other
Mhm.
members have. Maybe that's something we can talk about a little later after the show sometime.
Yeah.
All right. So what is your advice to? I mean, you've kind of already said this, but what would you say to someone out there who wanting to start something, wants to start a student club? What would your advice be to that person?
Have a group of friends and just be serious about it, right? It's impossible to do alone, but with friends and with God, you can do it, and you should. It is a lot of fun, especially if you do find yourself like for me, like I still have like fight in me. It feels like I want to fight something, and if that's like fighting against the secular age, going out and you know tabling or getting your friends and going to like a farmer's market and setting up a booth there. Like these are also things you can do. You should do it. Get active in the community and um, show off the church, but of course, do it with the guidance of a spiritual father. That way, you're not being an absolute ortho bro, which we all tend to do sometimes, but you don't want to do that when you're representing orthodoxy.
Yeah. You guys seem to have good camaraderie. You guys are all joking with each other. You love each other. I don't know. Is there any conflict at all? I haven't seen that, but I'm looking in on the outside.
Within the leadership, absolutely not. We are all just friends, and so any conflict is not really club related and isn't anything permanent. I don't think there's really been a time where I get super upset, except for when my vice president brings, only pizza and no drinks, even though I said to get both, but it's whatever.
Oh, tab.
Ooh, a little calling him out there. No, no, there hasn't been a whole lot of conflict yet. But we're all young men, and so conflict comes and goes, I guess.
Yeah. All right. And do you offer if someone wants to if someone needs a little guidance, can people get in touch with you somehow? Or is there I didn't put any
Yeah.
There's no links. You didn't give me any links to put in I mean, I can add them later.
I was debating if I was going to plug my Twitter or not, but then you kind of did it for me. And so yeah, you can follow me at
I guess I should have asked you. I didn't know if
it's all good. It's all good.
trying to be. I can go even whatever. Too late now,
No,
but I can delete it.
no, I think I already plugged it at the start too. You can follow me at PNW_Seraphim on X. I'm not on Instagram. My Facebook, I don't really check unless it's to just keep up with family or update them with what I'm doing, as we saw with the posts from the club. But yeah, X is kind of where I'm most active at. Follow me there, message me. I am like new in Orthodoxy still. I haven't even been baptized for a year. So if it's a lot of like deep theological questions and stuff, I'm just gonna probably say go speak to a priest.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're like gonna ask me what's what's the difference between like Protestantism and Orthodoxy, I can answer those questions pretty easily. So
You guys have an Instagram page, right?
yeah, I texted that to you. That's ran by our social media guy.
Did you? I didn't get that text. I
Let's
don't
see.
think I should. Oh, but I did find it, so I should have put that in there.
It's Sava Society _ OSU on Instagram, and that's for our club stuff. You can DM
Oh,
there as well.
he wants to see the logo. I can do that. Yeah, keep talking. Go ahead.
Yeah, so you can DM me on X. You can go and DM that account on Instagram. I won't be on the Instagram account. We also have like an Outlook, like an email address. If you want to
Yeah,
email there.
yeah, say that.
Yeah, so the email is, what is it here? It is Sava Society at outlook.com. So Saint, abbreviated Sava Society at outlook.com. And making more of an effort to checking that email address. It's what's printed on our brochures. So if you visit us in person and you get a brochure, our email's there.
All right, so I'm pulling up the logo here. So I can show this.
Yeah, I sent you our large logo and then our small one on X, I think.
So here's the logo. It's so big that it kind of fit. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it is large. It's what we use to print our banner, so it's massive.
It's just, yeah, it's the same that I put in the, similar to what I put in the. Who came up with this?
Ezra, our social media guy.
And it's even Oregon State colors.
Yes.
Go Bees. Nice. So
yeah, everything we've done is in house. Graphic design we do ourselves. Brochure design I make them myself. I don't really have one to show you, but they're pretty good. Father liked them a lot, so.
I'm looking at this though, and it looks like the orange from the word here and the orange here is a little different color of orange.
Yes, because the glory around Saint Sava is a gradient, so it's more like gold, like.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, that was intentional?
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Okay. Anything else? I mean, what else is there? I mean, you guys said, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, well,
before. Tell us about the Discord.
We have a club Discord. Yeah, I mean.
Do you use that? Is that active?
We do. Actually, yes. It's the best way to get announcements about the club. We're accruing people. It's not really much of a hangout spot yet, but that's the best place to get announcements about club meetings when we're out tabling. We'll post like Orthodox videos and stuff. Maybe I should be online more. Before I was my ex was kind of separate from the club, but now that both have been kind of linked, maybe I'll become a niche influencer now.
You have a Saint Saba X?
No, just my personal X account, but okay. Cat's out of the bag. PNW Seraphim is the president of Saint Saba Society.
I guess I should have asked you before I put it up there. I'm sorry, but
it's fine. I was debating. I think I was going to do it anyways. Yeah. Now I guess people at Oregon State know what my political views are. I guess the club itself is apolitical.
Right.
We have everyone in the club has different views of things, but my personal Twitter, you're gonna have my personal views of things.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm not a leftist, so.
Any closing words? I mean, like, what else is there you'd like to say? I mean,
I don't know. I've never been on a live before, but this has been really fun. Definitely great exposure for the club, and
yeah, maybe
it's been a great journey so far.
If you can point someone and say, "Hey, we were on a podcast," and you can point them to my channel.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will. We have. Well, actually, hold on. In our Discord, I link a bunch of channels. Oh, I'll link you in here too. Yeah. Then we'll have the local guys. I wasn't sure if like I don't want to like dox you on our Discord, but I'll link your YouTube channel to our Discord as well.
We'll just
Um,
you can just drop the link to this episode. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, yeah. I don't have anything more to say about the club.
Anything else you want to talk about? I mean,
Well, shoot. I mean, what have you been up to online these days?
me?
Yeah. What would you normally talk about if you were going live by yourself?
I was going live by myself. Oh boy. I don't know, like whatever just strikes me in the moment.
Mm.
I I've been I've definitely gotten sucked into Twitter lately, and
Yeah.
I check Twitter like 100 times a day, you know, like
Yeah.
just,
Me too. It's bad. It's
and it's actually starting to. It's interesting. I put probably more effort into my Twitter than YouTube anymore. And I'll tell you, I actually like X.
I do too. But I think it's because it's addicting,
Yeah,
and you know,
it's the you get the. I don't like the dopamine cycle of addiction. It is a you know, like
mm-hmm.
wake up, look at how many notifications you've got, and you know that's what keeps you coming back. It's, you know, oh, someone
Yeah.
interacted with me, you know. But the thing I like about X is, so I'm a poet. I was a poet. I guess I'm always going to be a poet. And I used to write. I used to write songs. I was a rapper. I'd write rhymes. And so a lot of the times I would just write a little stanza
Mm-hmm.
about 240 characters or whatever, you know, like about the same as a tweet. I would just like write 4 lines, and it was a rhyme, and it rhymed, but it didn't go in a song. It didn't fit in a song, you know, it was just like
Yeah.
throwaway, or it never got used. But now, and no one saw it. I would just write this, oh, this is a great 4 lines, but no one's going to see it. No one's going to hear it. And now I've got this X where I can write 4 lines worth of, you know, 20, 280, whatever. How many characters is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Well, if you're verified, it's like infinite.
right. I'm not verified. I don't know. I was for a while, but I'm not now. But so I stick within the character. Anyhow, it's like an outlet for my poetic, you know, it's an outlet for writing for me, you know. So I have
Yeah.
some thought, just put it out there, see if it sticks. And my X has been growing.
Mm-hmm.
So some people find it entertaining, I guess. Hopefully I'm doing more good than harm. I don't know. But
I
I do,
think I think it's a mixed review about Young Penitent on Twitter.
yeah. I
I've
guess
heard good and bad things, but
I guess I do. I poke the bear a lot. Maybe I can do better, you know. It's if you get people angry, you get more interaction. So I've
mhm.
subconsciously, I guess I need to maybe better myself, but subconsciously I figured that out. And
Yeah, I've always been that way. You know, just kind of it's not good, but like definitely messing with people sometimes is
yeah,
it's a little entertaining. And so if you say something and then you know it's gonna do numbers, like we were saying before the show, the whole like cussing versus no cussing thing. For whatever reason, there's a lot of Orthodox guys that think you can talk like and I'm a Marine and I talk like a sailor. I really shouldn't, and I know it's wrong. I'm like, it's not like that's what we were taught in like the core, like know your audience. Like if you're around grandmas, or the public, don't talk like a filthy devil dog. But if you're with Marines, then you can do that. So I think that's kind of like the thing I remember. But you have guys who are like, you can say whatever you want. It's not sinful. Like, what's the ontology of a cuss word or whatever? Like that one dude that I was kind of arguing with, and it's just ridiculous. Like my priest says not to do it, and so I'm a simple man. I'll just not do it. But so like I think Jim Bob even replied to you.
yeah, I didn't want to stir anything up.
Yeah,
I tried to let that
I think it's funny. And then I like Jim Bob. I think he's very entertaining to watch sometimes. His evolution stuff's great.
Is it?
Anti-evolution stuff. Oh yeah, he's really good at debating against evolution, and I'm getting a biology degree, and I'm surrounded by evolution, so it's it's nice to watch him.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, but uh, I feel like people are pretty polarized on there. I'll, I'm pretty neutral on these things. Maybe not anymore. Maybe some guy is gonna see this and he's gonna blow me up on Twitter or something. But
Well, I don't know. A lot of people, uh, people got turned against me. They think I'm a bad guy, but if you met me in person, you know I'm a good guy. Like if
yeah,
if I meet any of these people, like, and you come, if I see you at like a church function, there's not going to be a problem.
no, it's funny. I think even with like people at the church, they're like, you know, young Penitent is like not the same in person as he is on Twitter, and I think that's true with everyone. Like, we tend to just kind of do like a kind of a character almost when we're on Twitter or something like that, because you in person is sometimes it is different, because in person you're just like really welcoming and you're just a nice guy. On Twitter you try to kind of like stoke the coals a little bit, which
Yeah.
I'm guilty of, so I can't judge
Yeah.
at all. But
So I guess I can do better. It's good for me. Yeah, it's good to get this feedback, but I guess if I don't stoke the calls, then no one's gonna care what I say. But
no,
I
I
guess
think, look, I welcome it. I think the only time you rage baited me successfully was when after the monastery you posted that quote by the saint. It was like, what marriages to monasticism is like silver to gold. I was like, they're both gold, all right. That one got me.
yeah, I always go back
Die
to
hard, die hard marriage defender. I have another son on the way though, so now one of my boys can go and be a monastic. I already
uh
have.
not that the chances are not that likely. You need to have more than
No,
two, man. You got to
God
have,
willing, we have a good brood of kids.
yeah, you got to keep it's not 50%. It's like 10% of people become monks, so you
Mm,
got to just keep making them
Just
to increase
depends.
the
If
chances.
I just take them to the monastery twice a year, one of them might just become a monastic.
Well,
Uh,
you should definitely introduce them to the monastery, and if you go to the
yeah,
monastery, they won't allow you to
my desk.
they won't allow you to use curse words, that's for sure.
Nope. Uh,
Um,
yeah. I I'm not even joking though. If we want to have a lot of kids, and if one of them wants to become a monastic, or two of them, I do welcome it and support it, because I do think we need more monastics in this country who are American. So um, that's definitely, like, we're trying to cultivate that environment that's conducive to making saints. Although I'm no saint myself. Uh,
Yeah, that's what Saint or Metropolitan Saba was saying. He was saying we need monks and nuns to be. This goes back to the earlier question about making an Orthodox American Orthodox Church, and I
mhm,
don't know how necessarily how accurate what he's saying is, though, because the monasteries in Rokor, the abbots are Americans. Most of
yeah,
them, Holy Trinity, Bishop Luke is American. Abbot Trifon is American. Mother, I don't know all abbot, all of pretty much all of our, and even the monks are, many of them are American. So
yeah.
abbot of St. Anthony's, a lot of these. So I don't know necessarily how far off we are from what he's saying,
I think I don't think it's so literal. Like, we don't have any American monastics. I mean, all majority of our monks and abbots are American.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like the rhetoric behind it. We need to have more monastics. Period. Right. We need these monasteries overflowing with people inquiring into that lifestyle. We need to make more monasteries, which is a slow process. I mean, we need more churches before we have monasteries. Like, even with our church, it's about to physically double in size. And I would still argue that there should be another church, close to where I live right now,
Oh,
because
I've been
like
saying
we
that
need.
for years. I've
Hmm.
been saying that for years, that we need a church in Albany, we need a church in Lebanon, we need a church. Every city needs an Orthodox church,
Yeah, and like I see like all these Protestant churches, and they're dwindling numbers on Sunday. It's a matter of time before they go up for sale. We just need. I don't know the process of it. I can only just dream.
Process. What you do is you start with reader services.
Hmm.
So you just get a couple families. I interviewed priest from Arizona. What was his Father John Peck, John A. Peck, and in the interview he said, "This is how you start a parish. You get a couple families together and you start doing reader services. That's how it starts."
Yeah.
So let's say people from your town, they don't want to drive all the way to Corvallis for, maybe they can't make it to every vigil or every Vespers on
Hmm.
Saturday. Start doing a Saturday, get a blessing and start doing a reader service, you know,
Yeah.
uh, or maybe for those who can't make it, So I don't know. It's just an idea, something to think about. It doesn't have to be done immediately, but maybe somewhere down the road.
Yeah. I think over time, I would. I wouldn't even mind doing it myself if it's just something that I have the time for. I don't really know how to. I just now like kind of joined the choir. I'm in the secondary choir. You have you guys up front, and there's the guys in the back who are like kind of learning. I'm
Oh,
in that group.
right.
So I'm still learning how to actually sing and
Yeah.
stuff. I'm not
Yeah.
that good at, but um, I should. I reached out to Father about getting trained to serve the altar too. So like God willing, he said I just need to be trained for it. So God willing, I get that experience as well. And just I want to be more involved with the liturgy and the services.
Sure. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you ready to invite people into your house? Is that you gonna pray into that icon corner there?
Um. Maybe get like a way to set it up.
Yeah.
Something. But if not, I like my icon corner. I think it's pretty good. Um. It's, it's physically in a corner. That's more than most people.
You're gonna have people raiding your house once a week,
I know, right?
opening
Well,
your house up.
our house is always dirty because of the kid. Like we clean the house every day, and it's
Yeah.
always a mess. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
you have to just it'd be a weekly thing. You're gonna have to clean the house and get ready for people.
Yeah, that one we just probably meet in like a park, right? That'd be kind
Well,
of fun.
I don't know. Maybe I guess
Oh,
if it was a covered, I mean, if you want to do
nice
it,
day or covered. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if it's raining, you got to have maybe someone with the property can build a little shed, you know,
Hmm.
with that people can gather in.
Yeah, and my thing is like over in Sweet Home, they have a bunch of different Protestant churches and one Catholic church, and you know I think there's some people that are interested in Orthodoxy, but driving to Corvallis from there is like really far. So, like, I think having something in Lebanon in the future would be nice, and just going into Sweet Home because it's kind of a rougher town. That's where I'm from. It's like kind of a rougher town, but Orthodoxy I think could do very well there. Maybe. Um, I see Tim saying stuff. He mentioned Father Spirit and Bailey. Love Father Spirit and
Yeah,
um
he's got a spirit of peace. He posts on X like once a quarter, and it's just like some peaceful. He doesn't ever offend anybody. He's not making noise. It'll go viral anyways. So
yeah.
maybe start posting peaceful tweets. Is um, Volt Boy 330 says, behind a strong autocephaly, there must stand both the state and the people. The question is whether the Americans are capable of defending their possible autocephaly and facing the challenges that are
Mm,
challenges connected with the destruction of the Orthodox Church as a whole since the Orthodox Church is the only one that prevents the coming of the Antichrist.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could see why the Antichrist would want to destroy the church. That makes sense to me.
I think we're reaching a point, with the young men and women here who definitely are kind of breaking out of that the narrative that's been pushed to the past couple generations of, kind of I feel like we've kind of been in this bubble. I was certainly in a bubble, through the Marine Corps and then getting out and up until recently. And I think now that we're kind of seeing like what our government values are, people are just standing up in general on like any political side, and young Orthodox Christians are going to be even more zealous. I mean, when that congressman or representative or whatever slandered the Orthodox Church, I mean, he did not do well on Twitter. Like
Right.
that was
And
that took me by surprise too. Having a representative tell me that I'm a spy for Russia, even though this is my country and I served and I love this nation. I
and
think a lot of people have this same feeling.
he published a retraction too. He backpedaled on that statement.
Did he? I thought he may have doubled. I thought he doubled down. If he
He-
retracted, that's good.
He did some sort of damage control after that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did
Yeah.
continue to along a similar line, but he had to. I can't remember. I'd have to go refresh on what exactly happened, but that's a while ago. I think I even reported on that on one of my streams.
Yeah, and I think I mean, attacking Rokor is really easy, right? Like, oh, the Russians, they're bad, right? And then, but that's the start. I can imagine once they, you slander Rokor, you start planting seeds of distrust with, in Rokor. Then you can go, well, like the Antiochian Church, they're Middle Eastern, and then like I think that's kind of what would that might be the game plan if Orthodoxy keeps blowing up the way it is, but you know, I think the church is here to stay. It's been here for a long time in this country, and now with the internet, whether you like it or hate it, the internet is great for orthodoxy. It's putting this church that's historically, in this country hasn't really evangelized itself, and it's like now this is the medium to do it. That's how I found it. It's how most my friends found it, and so it is a blessing ultimately to have the social media presences or influencers that have a presence and talk about orthodoxy, whether you like them or dislike them.
Right. So if the government was trying to destroy the church, I think it would probably be doing it also through the internet. And we want people to be here for orthodoxy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we can't. We don't want the image of orthodoxy to be altered or marred in any way. For example, if you're telling everyone when they're about to join the church, it's okay to use curse words. Then when they're joining the church, that's an impious attitude at the very beginning. And where are you going to end up if you start with that attitude? Where are you going to be 10 years from now? That kind of thing would only grow into this thing, where maybe we should start putting curse words into the services or something, like.
I mean, I have faith in like the clergy and the older men of the church, or just the even the young men who grew up Orthodox. I have complete faith that a young inquirer comes in and he's zealous and he's hot for orthodoxy, and he's been given some wrong ideas about it. He's going to get checked right away. It's happened to me. I've seen it happen. You could argue that people having like bad people with internet followings and having like a wrong take or whatever, and then that spreads, and that I think that gets checked at the parish level, and it's never gonna like affect the church, right? When I first started becoming Orthodox, I've heard stuff like, young men come here because it's super based and masculine, but then they stay and they realize that it's, that's not the point of orthodoxy. Christ is the point, and Christ changes your heart. And so, people show up right now it's young men, they're conservative, they have some wrong ideas, but then they stay and the church molds them. And it's a process, right? You can't expect a saint to join the church and then be a saint throughout. Broken people join the church and they need the medicine over a long treatment. And that's kind of my idea with it. And you see that, with like people like Abbott Trifon, who was a leftist Marxist, right?
Yeah.
Atheist. Same thing for him. Especially with his generation, now Marxism was huge, atheism was huge, free love, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people from that generation, they come to the church broken, and it heals them. And
Yeah.
so I think now it's just kind of like the pendulum has swung, and we just see more like right leaning people, and it's the same thing to me. I think it's an overall net positive though, the online stuff. Um, if people have like a bad interaction on like Facebook or Twitter, and some ortho bro was like mean, and they're like, this guy was mean to me on the internet, I'm never going to Orthodox church. I think they have other problems, in my own opinion, because I grew up on the internet, you know, playing video games. People were always mean to me, or I was mean, and
Mm.
if you actually want to find something as real as Christ and His church, you shouldn't let some guy on the internet like dissuade you from that, from investigating. That's my own opinion. It might not be popular,
Well,
or
I'm
maybe it
sure
is, but
I'm sure it does happen. I'm sure there's people who get off put by, you know, you say something on social media, and the way these people respond, like on X, is just it's just they just tear you up, man. Like
yeah,
not uh, you're saying talks, they're not nice about it, and I could see why some people get a bad. If that's your first impression, you have to actually like go to a church, to see
yeah.
to encounter real orthodoxy. But you're not going to go to the church until you find out about it. If you're finding out about it by this guy on the internet who calls you the N word or something like that,
There's just a lack of confrontation online that people get comfortable with saying insane things. So that's it's almost like that's not even who they are. They just know that like I can get away with saying something crazy. I've done it myself, of course. I'm not piety signaling. I've definitely have done that. But in person, I feel like some people who you consider like, oh, like deranged online, they're probably like the most chill, super nice guy. He's helping Matushka at church make coffee. Like, um, so I think we need to have like priests and clergy that have their finger on the pulse of like who the parishioners are and what's their presence online. That's my critique. If I were a priest, I would be
follow them.
online, but of
Yeah,
course,
follow. Make an account
yeah,
and follow your parishioners.
yeah, of course, and I would even talk about it. You know, like, hey, like if you guys are online, like let me know, because I'd make that more involved. If you're an older priest, I don't think you can really understand what it's like online. Like our priest, he's not really online at all, and so I'm not sure if he like fully gets this, like kind of the way that the social media spheres work. But I
Right.
know that we're gonna have younger priests. This in these next 10 years, we're gonna have younger priests. We're already seeing a lot of priests online, so I have faith that the church will always handle its own. So
Yeah, and I think it's good that priests are starting to have, their own YouTube channels, or for example,
mhm.
like actually it's more appropriate for, Father Moses, he's got 200,000 followers, and he's been doing these Q&As, and he answers people questions, and he gives good answers.
Mhm.
You're not going to get spiritual guidance from a layman, a good answer, you know, you know
Yeah,
the laymen have been doing it because they were just there first, whatever, because there was no priest. Now the priests see that you can come, and it's just something that people do. They have their parishioners help them with the YouTube. They set up the camera for them. They manage their social media for them, so they don't have to be online dealing with comments. So I think it's good that priests are coming online, and I mean it does kind of pull them away from their primary, duties. It is a burden for them, but it's good
I
to see the
think
priests online.
I think it's important. That's ultimately like that's where we're heading as a society is we're ever more online. And yeah, if you have a dedicated parish and you have people who can like run your social media for you and all you have to do is talk in front of the camera, like I think priests should be doing that. I know the OCA just kind of dropped some regulations on social media usage for clergy and people who represent the church, and I
Did you
think that's
read it?
also good. I skimmed through it,
Need
but
to read that.
it reminds me of like when I was in the military. You also sign paperwork about social media behavior, how you act on the internet. So
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Yeah,
my
I
thing is
bought
like
that.
I think a long time ago I posted on Twitter because I was seeing some like priests saying some like canonical priests, not just like schismatic. Like they were just kind of saying some things that were like controversial. I don't really remember what it was, but it was just kind of creating a lot of discourse. And I'm like, I wish priests wouldn't do that. Like be present, but like I don't need to know what like my priest's like personal takes about things are because you know you you're not allowed to judge clergy. Like it's sinful to judge bishops and priests. And so if you're a priest and you're like saying something out of pocket, you're like kind of scandalizing people, and you might cause them to stumble. And like there's like one priest I saw it, and I blocked him because like I don't want to judge him at all. And I don't. And who am I to tell him to get off the internet? Of course. So that's kind of been my personal stance on it. But
I wonder if
um,
anybody ever just like people say log off. That's like a thing. Like, does anybody ever just log off? Like, that's like, is that a? Can you even really expect anybody to even do that?
no, I mean, sometimes I'll like catch myself writing a reply and then I'm like, this is pointless. And then I do get off, I guess. So
Yeah,
I sometimes I will like,
but you don't delete your accounts and never come
oh
back.
no,
That's
no,
what it means.
no. I mean, I just have more of like a military mindset where, you know, if you're like, if your company commander was like on Twitter, like getting into like political debates, that'd be so against the rules, right? And so I think it's the same thing for a priest, right? You're there to guide people spiritually, and if you're, unfortunately, with how polarizing politics are to some people, um, if you're creating like divisiveness or
Mm.
it's just not spiritually fruitful. But that's my take as just a young man who's become Orthodox. Uh, it can be easily disregarded because a, I'm not clergy or anything. So
Volt Boy 330 says the best example of how much the state influences the church is Constantinople. When Kemal Pasha Ataturk, from a Sabbatean family, originally from Bitol in Macedonia, and a Freemason, came to power, problems in the Orthodox Church began as well.
yeah, I mean, I think we see that now though with some areas. Just
Yeah,
it's natural for people with secular motives to try to infiltrate the church. I think you see that with Protestantism, Roman Catholicism, and even Orthodoxy. Um,
absolutely. The history of the church is full of this. It's
yeah,
the 2000, the whole history of the church. We've had, political appointees and this person being removed and that person being influenced. And like we see that happening with what's, in Constantinople today. How there's reports that they were, given money by the U.S. State Department, and of course that's going to influence how his decisions. So, and it seems like there could be some people um, have posited that there could be a split in Orthodoxy. Like which church Constantinople versus Russia or whatever.
I hate that we get that all the time when we're tabling. It's mainly from Catholics. They think it's a big own. Like, oh yeah, you're Orthodox. Which one? It's like it's the same.
It
Like,
is. It is currently, but like
are the patriarchs are the patriarchs who have this insane social and political presence, they're gonna fall. Like they're gonna stumble, and the level in which they stumble is different from how we stumble when we're just a layman. But it doesn't change the faith. and it's when they start trying to change the faith that becomes an issue, right?
Like,
But
what would you do if let's say the half the Orthodox world anathematizes the other half? Who do you go with? You just stay where you are? Do you make a decision? Do you have to be like,
I think
literal?
there's been periods in church history where one C is out of communion with the other C,
Like
and then all
Rome?
the rest of the churches.
That happened with
That's
Rome, and
it happened with Rome, but then before the schism, it happened with Rome.
Never healed.
No, it did. So there's a point where Rome was out of communion with the rest of the church, and then they came back into communion. That was before the schism, and then you have like the partial, partial schism, I think, where you have like one church out of communion with another church, and then the rest of all the churches recognize each other. So that's why like I don't think that you could just have like Russia anathematizes Constantinople, because you have the rest of the entire world Orthodoxy that forms like that interconnected web.
Like what if churches took sides and half went one way and half went the other, and it was a schism? There could be another schism. It could happen. I'm not saying like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it would happen. I think when we see like schisms in Orthodoxy, it's just like a small group. Like true orthodoxy or genuine orthodoxy. That
generally.
Yeah, I don't think you're not gonna see something like all autocephalous churches split down the middle, because even with the biggest schism, there's only one C that left the rest of the church.
It would just be a moment where like you would have to really you'd have to practice discernment and be like, because it says in the scripture that even the very elect will be deceived, right? If that's so it's going to be, even a spiritual person might not know, like, is this the Antichrist? Is this not, or who, there's just temptations coming, unforeseen temptations that we are not aware of, that you have to be, that you have to recognize. Even your own, you have to question your own ability to discern what is the right path. Like, there could be tough questions that Christians will have to make at some point in the future,
I will say though, that mindset is pretty unique to Orthodox Christians, right? We question our own thoughts and feelings, right? We're skeptical of our own discernment. Whereas with our evangelical or Protestant brothers and sisters, they don't really have that. They think really any good gut feeling is from God.
Right.
And we know that you can be deceived easily that way. So I think we're a little more safeguarded in this matter.
They're so sure of themselves, the Protestants.
Yeah, I know, especially Mormons, but they're not really Christians, are they? I think if like the EP like said, "All right, guys, like by the way, like if he did something like what Rome did, where he's like, hey, the filioque way is legit," or he just was straight up trying to go under the Pope, like,
or become his own Pope.
Well, I think that it's more likely that we would see an ecumenist bishop try to like go back into communion with Rome without having Rome walk back their 1,000 years of innovations. And if that happens, then they're changing the deposit of faith by doing so, and then you can pretty easily just recognize like where they're wrong. As far as right now with the whole thing between the Russia and Greek Church, everything that I've been told is it doesn't really affect the laity, like, so it God willing, wrongs get righted here within my lifetime. But
I mean, you still keep practicing your faith, you keep taking communion. Communion is the real medicine. That's what that's what changes people and makes you grow. It's like it's like a seed, and it grows, and you become an oak tree eventually. But I mean, if like the hierarchy, it is we do have a hierarchy. So like if the hierarchy is giving instruction to those below them, and then they give instruction to those below them, and eventually you're getting that instruction. So I could see how if there was a corrupted hierarchy, how it could affect faithful.
Yeah. Yeah. My argument though is even if the hierarchs are super corrupt, how are they changing your faith? Like like they're not changing like the way communion's done.
Right.
They're not trying to change theology. And if they do, that's a problem. And then I just have faith that they get deposed by the synod, right? If it got to a point. If like a metropolitan started trying to go full on Roman Catholic Pope and he'd get defrocked, I'd imagine. You've been Orthodox a lot longer than me, so you probably have more insight on this. But
Well, I've never seen that happen. I don't see bishops getting removed that I very often. I mean,
I feel like it's not often that they're like really being outright heretics.
Yeah. Like I guess I've heard that one of our bishops said that the patriarch of Constantinople was bald-headed, preaching heresy in the church. That's what he said, or it's getting to that point,
Mm-hmm.
But they did break the communion, the ecclesiastical, like they did do that, but they never like anathematized them.
No, I don't know if they would. That's so like above my pay grade.
Right.
When people bring it up to us, the whole message we preach is like orthodoxy it's always gonna remain orthodox. Christ says that the gates of hell won't prevail against the church, and that means that no matter what time period, the Orthodox Church will still be there. I don't like preach that it's like without issue. Even if it's a divine institution, if it's staffed by fallen men, we're gonna mess up. And which is why like bishops dread being bishops because they know that they're going to be tempted with that level of responsibility and
Right.
influence.
But I think lay people do bear some responsibility. We can't offload all the responsibility for maintaining the faith. We do our part.
Yeah.
We do our part.
I agree. Well, yeah. I mean, I think Saint Maximus, the Confessor. I mean, the way he talks about the church is like, the altar and the nave, it's kind of like all wrapped up together. It's interwoven, right? The altar representing like where the clergy is, right? Where the Eucharist is, and the nave representing the body of Christ, of course. Like you can't have one without the other. There's no Eucharist without the body of Christ, and there's no body of Christ without the Eucharist. Like we need each other. And so it is, the laity keeps the faith and the bishops keep that deposit of faith and they teach it to us, right? So yeah, what Valboy said, I guess.
Corrupt bishops hold on to their comfort and they don't attack each other.
I feel like that's maybe
he's not saying all bishops. He's not
no,
saying
no. That's kind of. I'm just like kind of vague, but I can see that. Like if you're a corrupt bishop, why would you want to bring attention to yourself, right? If that's what he means. I don't really know. I don't really focus on church politics that much. I try to kind of keep up to date so that if someone talks to me like on campus about it, but it's for me, it's like I just need to learn how to like pray more consistently, I guess. I try to keep myself grounded and try to keep other people grounded. Like, I think it's easy for us to all get wrapped up in this, but Father Paul Trubbenbach in his videos, he's like, well, have you prayed? Like, that's kind of what he says. It's like, well, you have all these things to say and do. And have you prayed today? I think that's a good step. I think One thing that I love seeing though online is uh Cleave to Antiquity has like a Catholic news segment. I'm not sure if you've ever watched his Catholic news segments, but he'll spend like an hour or two going over what the Catholic Church is doing, and it's insane. Like just, and it's great. It's great for me as someone that talks to Catholics a lot. It's great to be like, hey, did you know that like your church is doing this, and then they don't know, and then it like it raises questions with them that they ought to have,
Hmm.
and so that's always fun too. But I'm not sure if that's what you find yourself watching sometimes.
I've never seen it.
Oh,
Never seen his
should
show.
you should watch some of his Catholic news segments. I recommend them.
Oh, okay.
Unless you like don't care about, that might not be like your interest, I guess.
I don't. To be honest, like the only YouTuber I watch is Abbott Trefon, like consistently. I don't really, and it's only just a short, homily. So I guess
Yeah.
I'm too busy creating content. I don't know.
That's good though. Yeah, maybe I should just take a step back from watching so many different creators. But
Yeah.
no, I mean those are good. Like if people want to know like where we get our like kind of like where we start getting information from for like tabling, because we don't have a script. The Catholic news segment is good for keeping up to date on the Catholic Church, because if you're going to be out evangelizing Orthodoxy, you kind of need to know where people are at with their faith. You
Yeah.
need to know about the LDS, the mainline Protestants, like evangelicalism, the Catholic Church especially. And so that's important for, I think that's important that if you want to evangelize, you stay up to date with this stuff. You don't have to know like the ins and outs of like their theology, but enough to just like raise questions, because
Sure.
people raise questions to me too. And it's like I remember when I first was becoming Orthodox, just some non-denominational guy was preaching at OSU, and he like raised some questions to me, and I left, and I was like, like I didn't really have a doubt, but I was like, oh, let me look into this. And then of course, like I was vindicated through orthodoxy, but it's kind of good, right? You should have questions raised to you, or even slight doubts that you can then test against your faith. And if those polemics hold, like if they don't like hold up and your faith vindicates you, then so be it. But if those polemics actually like show a pretty big hole in your belief system, maybe you should start considering orthodoxy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Well, as long as you're being patient with people, you should talk to the Willard preacher. You should actually like have a phone call with him. I told you about
I
that
should,
guy.
yeah. I need to reach out to
Actually,
him.
I'll try to connect you if you want to talk. I think you just should
Yeah.
just have a phone call and just tell him, hey, this is what we're doing. Is what have you learned?
Yeah, I follow him on Facebook. I need to sit down and watch more of his stuff. See, yeah, I agree. Yeah, we have to learn how to speak on the forefront on a college campus. I mean, that's all the different ideas are flowing through there, and news is always cycling through. So you got to be up to date on your stuff. Which I think that's why you have people like Cliff Knetley or whatever his name is. He hasn't been doing so great when he goes to college campuses, because he's not up to date with like what's going on with apologetics. One Orthodox Christian questions him and he can't answer it, and so that's kind of where we're at here. Yeah, first impressions are important. Uh, I've never done this before, like going out on a campus and tabling. I've made some bad first impressions, I think. You can't be perfect every single time. It's a learning experience. We're all going to make mistakes. One thing, I mean, just yesterday when we were tabling, we had an interaction that it wasn't like we didn't like blunder absolutely, but we knew that we could have handled it better against the guy. He was a Russian atheist, Yeah, grew up Orthodox, and he just kind of had a bone to pick with it. And we could have had a different approach that maybe would have had a better, long-lasting effect. Um, but ultimately, I don't really think he approached us in good faith. But
Mm.
yeah, absolutely, those first impressions are important, especially if you want people to keep coming back when they see you.
So what is your, let's say I walk up to you, you don't know me. Hey, so pretend this here, let's do an interaction. All right. You're
Yeah,
standing. All right. It's like,
yeah.
oh, hey, what is this? What are you guys? What is this?
This is the Saint Sava Society of Orthodox Christians. We're a student organization here, so I'm a student, and my friend here is a student. We're a club for Orthodox Christians. We want to bring Orthodox Christians back into their faith. Let them know that there's churches here. Um, all those good things. Are you religious? Like, do you believe in God? Are you a Christian?
Oh no, I don't believe in God. Why would I believe in someone who can't just prove himself to me? I
Well,
mean, why
I
doesn't
mean,
he
let's
just come and show himself to me?
Well, you can't really ask the master of the universe to bend to your will now, can you? But let's take a step back. I mean, do you know like what logic and reasoning is?
Logic and reasoning? Sure,
Yeah. You use
well, I'm actually a math major.
Okay, so yeah, you use logic and reasoning every single day. We use it within math. I mean, math is kind of just a visual medium of logic. But when we make decisions, right, we use logic. We have the laws of logic. Well, if you're an atheist and you hold to a completely materialistic worldview, you only believe in the atoms that make up all the components of this universe. We're the atoms that make up logic. Logic is completely intangible.
I believe in
Intangible is
myself. I believe in myself.
Well, yeah, it's cool. Yeah, no, but what about logic? Right? You use logic as a
I'm not an
faculty to know things, but logic is beyond anything empirical.
Well, I only use logic when I'm doing math problems. Otherwise, I'm not really into logic.
Okay. Well, how do you go about making that statement right there?
Doesn't bother me.
Okay, well, hey, look, if it doesn't bother you, right? You
So
just never
you're
think about.
Orthodox? What is that? Like which Orthodox church?
Okay, yeah. So let's just say, right, that you believe in God,
Are you
believe in.
Russian? The Russian Orthodox Church, or are you the Greek or is that like Greek Orthodox Church? I had a cousin who was Greek once.
Oh yeah, it's all the same. It's just what language do you want to hear at the liturgy? Orthodoxy is actually the
Hopefully it's
first church. Orthodoxy is the first Christian church that was established by Christ and his apostles. We have that real claim to history that no other church besides the Roman Catholics have. And if you are honest and intellectual and you explore church history, you'll find that there's only Roman Catholicism or Eastern Orthodoxy. And so once you get there, you need to decide which one is true. My question is, right, with the Roman Catholic Church, we have the Pope. The Pope he has a supreme authority over all of Christendom, and he's infallible when he wants to be. Where do we see that in the first 1,000 years of the church? Because if we see that within the first millennia, then Roman Catholicism is true. But if we don't, and we see the Orthodox Church doesn't hold to that, they don't make those claims, and we see that the Orthodox Church actually has the same ecclesiology as the first millennia church, then Orthodoxy is true. Well, you're not going to find the papacy, the modern papacy, in the first millennia. So therefore, Orthodoxy is true. And that's kind of how we run things down, right? I mean, you kind of threw like 10 different arguments out that I've
Do
heard.
people
People who are
even
just like,
do people hear you out though? Because I'm like being patient and like this. I tried to break in a little bit, but like you
yeah.
were like just like dragging on and on, man. Like that was a pretty long answer. Like who's gonna even like stand there and listen to you?
Well, if people engage in good faith, like for this instance, like you gish galloped a lot. You had like, I'm an atheist, always logic, and then instead of following what I said, you're just like, I
What
don't
did you say?
care.
What was that
Gish
term?
galloping. It's where you go from like one topic to the next,
Oh, okay.
right? This is a little bit, it's inorganic, but if you're actually interested in orthodoxy, I do kind of break it up a little bit. for the sake of just this being like a fake interaction, I'm kind of just taking you down the line of reasoning I go through.
Yeah.
It looks a little more like, oh, well, you don't find Protestantism until the 1500s. Yeah, so we talk about that, and then
So
we just kind of work our way
you
back.
were like taking the logic and reason route, I guess. Well, where were you going with that? I didn't really let you finish.
Well, yeah. So some people only appeal to like a materialistic worldview. Like materialism is based, just like physically empirical, like empirical things, right? Pure sense data. That's how they claim to have knowledge. That's the only thing they believe in. They believe that everything we do and think, it's a process of chemical reactions. It's very easy to raise questions against that worldview because we have faculties like logic, and the laws of logic are these unempirical laws. They're true outside of reality, like
Unempirical?
outside of physical empirical.
Right.
Yeah, they're unempirical. So they're true, but they're completely untangible, right?
Intangible. Okay.
Yeah, like they're transcendental. They transcend above physical reality. So I like the transcendental argument a lot, and it's definitely a perspective that a lot of these people haven't really heard before on a campus.
I had a guy break down that whole argument and sounded nice, and then I just, uh, okay, it makes sense, and I completely forgot it, and it didn't really move my heart, like like
Yeah.
for me, like orthodoxy, like we actually believe with our heart.
Hmm.
It's not really faith actually happens like with your heart, like it's like not as much. I mean, some people are convinced, I guess they can be. I guess it's a different way than I came from faith. Like I just like, my heart responded to orthodoxy.
Same. Well, same here. I walked into the liturgy and it was heaven on earth, and it was a feeling in the heart for me. But if you're an atheist, right, you're not going to make an atheist a Christian in one conversation. But
Yeah.
what you can do is poke at their atheist worldview, and then they're going to leave and they're going to think about it, and it's going to be like that mustard seed, right? It, I'm just assuming, right? The atheist maybe grew up Christian, or they've obviously been around Christians in this country. They've had the whole, you know, the feelings preached to them. Sometimes they just need to be like humbled, like get checked in their worldview, like the way that, I mean, my friend kind of checked me with my pagan worldview unintentionally. But if you're an atheist approaching Christians, we've had atheists that just wanted to get some, like, you know, own against us, like, oh, I got him, like, and we raised this argument against them, and it definitely makes them think. But if you're a Christian, right, we can we kind of have like a two full conversation. We talk about the history because orthodoxy is important in its history, right? Most Christians here in America, they don't know the history of Christianity, and so when you just bring up church history, that's a big deal. That's that seed right there of knowledge. Like, okay, there's my what I believe right now is not historical. Like, my Protestant beliefs are not, they're not the ancient Christianity, and so they look into it. There's definitely been times though where I give that testimony of like how it's changed my heart.
Do
It
you,
really just
do you try to make
depends.
friends with people? Do you like offer to
Mhm.
meet for coffee or anything like that, or like?
Honestly, we always just invite people to hang out with us more, like to come back or to come to a meeting. But
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't really like scheduled anything one on one, and that would be really useful. I think my vice president has. I think he's reached out to a guy and actually has been helping him out. So I
Oh,
should
okay.
do that more.
Hmm.
Um, no, I haven't done that. That'd be a good. That'd be good. I think one of our best conversations we had was this guy. He converted from Judaism to Catholicism, and that day we were, talking to two Catholics, and it got really exhausting talking to them. And he came up a while later, and it was like, and then just such a nice conversation. He just kind of he understood like he understood Christianity, if that made sense. Like he truly had that faith in his heart. He just had a better perspective in a way that I can't really describe, but it was such a blessing to talk to him and end our day with that. And we invited him to our club meeting that was happening the next day. And I think he had car troubles, and so he couldn't make it. But God willing, I see him again because that was a really fun guy to talk to.
You have Do you have any other stories, like things that have happened?
Um,
Anything that comes to mind? Anything?
yeah, okay, so I'll just like this is my pet peeve, right? Maybe hopefully someone who's not orthodox watches this and they hear my pet peeve and they get it, right? So in the past, numerous times we get approached by someone and they're like, "Oh, I'm Catholic," but I converted to Catholicism, and I was really discerning Orthodoxy and Roman Catholicism. And then I asked them, "Have you ever been to an Orthodox church or talked to an Orthodox priest?" "Oh, no, never." And so that gets me because I'm like, what do you mean you were discerning both and then you've never actually stepped inside of an Orthodox church? Like, you do yourself an injustice by doing that. And so it's my pet peeve. I love to bring it up to people who are, they're starting to look into both, because I think it's good to be like, hey, like, don't do that. Like, don't do yourself the disservice by not ever going into an Orthodox church and then telling yourself you genuinely thought about both. Because, like, I know myself, I thought about Catholicism a lot. I've been to a Catholic mass. I've looked into, what they believe, and it doesn't compare to Orthodoxy. And I think a lot of my friends that became Orthodox did the same thing. And so you do yourself a disservice by not looking at both.
Yeah, a
Uh,
lot of people, they'll just study it and study it and study it and never make that jump.
that
And
too. Yeah.
Neopsis says, I was thinking YP is starting to look more like Blessed Seraphim Rose every day.
You just need to grow the hair out more.
Grow the hair out. Don't stop combing my beard. Get dreadlocks in my beard.
Don't shower anymore.
Um, yeah, why don't just go full on and just move out into the wilderness? He's not the first person who's made that comment. Someone actually made a meme about it before. I probably have it somewhere. Let's see if I can find that.
Man, I hope he gets canonized. I think he will. Like the I don't know, the effect that he's had on me, his writing, it's been.
Is that right? Is that true? Yeah, I mean,
Oh
for
yeah.
me,
Well,
same.
I remember when I was getting baptized and you're asking me like who I was picking from patron saint, and I told you, well, I really like Father Seraphim Rose, but he's not a saint. And then you're like, well, his saint is Saint Seraphim of Sarov. So people who like Father Seraphim Rose will choose Saint Seraphim of Sarov as their patron saint, and it kind of honors both of them. And then I read the life of Saint Seraphim of Sarov, and I was like, okay, this is also just a great saint to kind of, he's everything that I'm not. So it's great to have a saint that like to like I'm striving to be like this man.
Wait, you're not telling me that post made you pick your saint, are you?
No, you told me this in person like a while ago.
Oh, and that's
Yeah.
why you chose that?
Well, you just mentioned like, well, if you like Seraphim Rose, his patron saint was Saint Seraphim of Sarov, and people who like Seraphim Rose, they choose Seraphim of Sarov as their patron saint. And
That's
then that led me to reading the life of Saint Seraphim of Sarov, and I was like, okay, this is a saint that is nothing like me because, he's more patient than me. He is more disciplined for me. He's more pious, more loving. And so I thought that what better saint to have as your patron saint than someone that you can strive to be more like, if that makes sense. Some
yeah.
people choose saints that they kind of like see themselves in, but for me, I think I need guidance from a saint that's, way. I mean, all the saints are better than me, but like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like
Well,
someone to like live up to.
yeah, Saint Seraphim was like a superstar saint,
Yeah.
like the elite, like he's on the inner courts, in heaven, like he'll be like standing around, like the inner council of God, like him and Saint John Chrysostom, and
Oh yeah.
illumined. I found this meme someone made.
I'll probably like 5 more minutes here.
All right, no problem. Yeah, this is gone. So
It's been really fun so far. Yeah.
Shout out to my friend Justin Brannon. He says, I'm no conspiracy theorist, but has anyone seen young Penitent and Saint Seraphim Rose in the same room together?
I mean, the resemblance is there,
I think so. I think I know, I hope so, at least in a spiritual sense, because like he did really influence me. Like I read all his books. So I read all his books. I went and visited his monastery. I read all his books, and then I read all the books that he translated too.
Oh wow.
Like all the lives of saints and all the desert fathers and all that. So like he really did a good job. And his main missionary outreach was the written word. And I am a living, I'm living proof of I'm the outcome of what what his work was.
Yeah. 100%. My introduction to Father Seraphim Rose, besides like harmony YouTube videos, was that book by Justin Marler about Youth of the Apocalypse, and that book pretty much just takes Father Seraphim Rose's writings and kind of just like commentates on them or condenses them into something more I guess palatable if you're a younger person. And that was my introduction to Seraphim Rose. And then I read Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future, of course, and God's Revelation of the Human Heart. And those are just great reading. I think Father was saying to like kind of like be wary of some of his writings because some of it's a little more out there. I think Life After Death, that one, or The Soul After Death. I think he may have been referring to that one because that seems a little.
Yeah, some people have Some people have a problem with the whole Toils thing. So
I don't have an opinion on it. I haven't read the book though.
Yeah, it is kind of a polarizing issue for some people, but
yeah. But anyways, man, it's been great. Sorry for talking so much.
No worries.
But no, thank you for having me. This has been really fun.
All right, I might go on for a few more minutes here. I'm going to go over. I might as well go over it while we're talking about Seraphim Rose. You can head out if you want.
All right, yeah. Take care, man. Take care, guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
I had a friend send me this article. Might as well go over it. This was shared in my. This was shared in a chat. By the way, I have a Telegram channel and a Telegram chat room, which are both the links are in the description of all my videos. So the channel is announcements. So if you want to know when my upcoming live stream is, you join the channel, and I just post my videos there. Occasionally a meme or something, but the chat room is just people who watch the show, and it's not super active. But someone dropped this. Let's see here. He dropped this article. And the article is from Public Orthodoxy. And this is not actually a publication that I necessarily recommend. This is kind of one of those, government intrusions into Orthodoxy. But this guy seems to have a bone to pick with Seraphim Rose. And he picks out a passage in one of Seraphim Rose's books, Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future. And apparently there was a, shall I say, it was a controversial passage in this book in which he's let's see if I can find it. I wasn't kind of hard to do this on the fly. But what he's saying is that if Rocor goes and canonizes Seraphim Rose, he's saying it's political, and they're saying this because they agree with apparently everything that he's ever said. And there's a passage in Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future that has been edited out. And this book has gone through several editions. Now let's see if I can find. Aha. It's hard for me to talk and read at the same time. So there's a passage in. Here it is. There's a passage in Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future in the 1979 edition. And this passage was not in the original manuscript when this was released in the Orthodox Word, but then, or in previous editions. But in this fourth edition, there was a passage where Father Seraphim speaks, and he mentions those who have taken strong stands against the apostasy of our times, and he's talking about ecumenism. So he's saying that there are an unknown number of true Christians, and this is why some of the true Orthodox say, "Oh, Father Seraphim Rose was true Orthodox." Rocor was, for a time, in communion with the true Orthodox Church, which was probably a mistake. But there's this one passage in this one edition of this one book, and he mentions that there are an unknown number of true Orthodox Christians who have taken strong stands against the apostasy of our times, the Catacomb Church of Russia, the Russian church outside of Russia, of which he was a part, and the true Orthodox Christians, old calendarists of Greece. So he's pointing to this is a controversial statement by a saint. Now, everything saints say, you can't say everything that they say is necessarily God. They're not prophets. Saints aren't prophets. So this is not like God is saying that this is true because a saint said it. A saint can make a mistake. Maybe Father Seraphim was making a mistake here. Maybe this is just how he thought. But this writer goes on to say that because Rocor is canonizing this, what they are saying is basically that Rocor agrees with this. Rocor is the only true remnant, and they probably also agree that true Orthodox Christians are the remnant church. So I just wanted to say that this is, I don't necessarily agree with the conclusions that this Sergei Chapnin came to when he wrote this article. But it is very interesting that this passage is in that book and it's not in later editions. You won't find it. So at some point, Platina, the St. Herman Press, removed this passage. They edited it, and it's no longer in there. They don't have this reference to the Catacomb Church, the Russian church outside of Russia, and the true Orthodox Christians. So they've kind of softened their stance, and I don't know how that works. How can a publisher change the words of a saint and then still have the saint's name on the book when it's been edited? I don't know who made that decision or what, but I guess I'm just doing a little debunking here. Let's check in with the chat. I haven't really been following I've been reading over this article here. Captain Crusader has joined the chat. He says, "Is Jay wrong against the ortho bro haters?" What does that mean? What did he say? I don't know. I don't really care about who said what. He said, I don't really want to get into the drama necessarily. So I'm kind of trying to clean up my image a little bit. So, okay, so I reviewed that article. Thank you all for watching. This was a long one. We had Seraphim on. We were doing a bit of hanging out, and it's a little less structured than normal. But there you go. You got a nice long 2-hour live stream for us. We had Tim Miller supporting the show with generous super chats again. So thank you, Tim Miller, and for keeping the live chat active. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you next time. I have an interview scheduled with Father Christian. What is his last name? Let me double check here. Father Christian Siskos. So I came across him. He has a YouTube channel, and I really liked one of his videos. So we got him on. We're going to have a priest back. Like, I like having priests on here. It's always good to have a chance to talk to a priest. So that will be next Tuesday at 12:30 Pacific time. So put that on your calendars, and we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.